Hello and welcome back to my humble abode of self-harm and self-hatred. Today, we are going to look at an old friend of the show. A very greasy, very leathery, very slimy old friend. You guessed it, it's Neckbeard Jimmy Dore. Oh, you hear that? That's the sound of hundreds of Neckbeard Jimmy's fanboys scrambling to this video to downvote it into oblivion and screech their toxic garbage all over the comment section. Oh yes, the Jimmy Dore fanbase is probably the most toxic and the most repulsive political cult following I've ever seen in my entire life. They can't stand any criticism of their dear leader and his repugnant, isolationist, victim-blaming conspiracy theories. And speaking of victim-blaming, Neckbeard Jimmy recently released yet another video whining about U.S. foreign policy and bending over backwards to defend the Iranian regime and its aggressive, expansionist ambitions in the Persian Gulf. Yes, the self-proclaimed progressive is, of course, shilling for an Islamo-fascist theocracy, where human rights are non-existent, political dissents are forcibly disappeared, and gays are publicly hanged. So fucking progressive, am I right? Anyway, the clock is ticking and I'm in a masochistic mood right now, so grab the whips and let's watch this heinous video. Begin.
This is from CNN Politics. This was Tuesday, April 27th. It says, the United States says that Iran's Navy harassed the Coast Guard in the Persian Gulf earlier this month. The Coast Guard? I thought the Coast Guard was supposed to protect our coast. They're like, oh my God, there are Persians in the Persian Gulf.
Oh my god, this video has not gotten off to a good start. No, Jimmy, the Coast Guard doesn't just protect our coast. They protect our assets overseas as well. They are a branch of the Navy, and the Navy can call the Coast Guard to assist them in operations whenever they want. And given that the Persian Gulf is home to major U.S. allies like Kuwait and Saudi Arabia and the UAE and Bahrain, it makes perfect sense to me why the Coast Guard would be in the Persian Gulf. But of course, Jimmy Dore is an isolationist cretin, so he's upset that U.S. troops are anywhere. You know, if it was up to Jimmy Dore, we'd just all be, huddled inside our country, shut ourselves off to the world, and let tyranny and expansionist bad faith actors wreak havoc all across the globe. This guy is immoral, doesn't even begin to describe what Jimmy Dore is. Oh well, I've already lost brain cells, but let's continue.
It's not called the American Gulf. It's called the Persian Gulf. What are we doing there? What's the Coast Guard doing in the Persian Gulf?
They just missed an exit and then shit got weird.
Iran's Navy once again harassed U.S. ships operating in the Persian Gulf, this time coming within 68 yards of the ships on Monday night, according to a spokeswoman for the U.S. Navy. How dare those Iranians messing with the United States over in Iran?
Oh my god, it just keeps getting worse. Jimmy, the Persian Gulf doesn't fall entirely under Iran's jurisdiction. It's just because it's called the Persian Gulf doesn't mean it's under the control of Iran. Or Persia, as they probably call themselves. Oh my god, does this guy think North America and South America are part of the United States? I mean, really, how brainless is this fucking idiot? Oh my god. And yeah, you know what? Yeah, how dare Iran harass our ships in that region? They don't have any right to do that. They don't have any right to harass our ships in the Persian Gulf. We have a right to be there, and we have a right to defend and provide assistance to our allies and our assets in that region. Jimmy.
It'd be like if somebody broke into your house and then yelled at you to get out.
Yeah. It's like, did you see how close those homeowners came to the burglar inside their house? They came within 68 yards.
No, it would not. It's not like that at all. It's not even close to that. We aren't breaking into anyone's house. Persian Gulf is open waters. We are not operating in Iran's jurisdiction of the Persian Gulf. This guy is just full of shit, really. Oh my god, I'm barely 1 minute into this video, and the stupidity levels are just astronomical. This video is gonna hurt.
The Iranian ships kept operating close to the U.S. vessels despite repeated bridge-to-bridge warnings and the use of loud hailer devices. In response, the American ship fired warning shots. Hey, why don't you guys get the fuck out of the Persian Gulf? You ever think of that?
Yeah.
I already explained why this talking point is so fucking stupid, but you know what? People like Jimmy aren't really able to get stuff the first time, so I'll go over it again. Jimmy, I know your ability to comprehend information is subpar at best, but let's go over this again. The Persian Gulf does not belong to Iran. Iran and many other countries have jurisdiction over some parts of the Persian Gulf, but a lot of it is open waters. International waters, meaning anyone can go there, including our ships. Iran was harassing our ships in open waters. We did not encroach on their territory. They encroached on us. And we told them to back off. They didn't listen. And we fired warning shots, meaning we didn't shoot at them. We shot near them to warn them to stay away. There is not a regime in the world that this jackass won't bend over backwards to defend. Oh dear.
You are giving warnings and using loud hailer devices? Well, I bet they're giving you warnings too to get the fuck out of the Persian Gulf.
Yeah, except Iran is not in the right here. Jimmy is trying to draw a false equivalency, or well, actually he's not even doing that. He's just trying to blame the victim. Iran wants control over the Persian Gulf because it is a major trade route and because there are rich oil deposits in that region. And if Iran gets their hands on those oil deposits, that will greatly benefit their regime. And the United States, with good reason, does not want them to do that because Iran is a major state sponsor of terror. They are backing the murderous Assad regime, and they are financing and backing insurgent groups in Yemen, Iraq, and Syria, which are wreaking havoc, killing countless civilians and committing countless war crimes which, incidentally, you either deny or you defend. So, give me a fucking break, Jimmy. I can see right through your propaganda. I can see right through your apologism for dictators. I can see through all of your shit. You're not fooling anyone.
We're like the school bully of the world.
Yes.
We walk up to someone like, get out of my way. Like, I was just standing here. You're my, oh, yeah? Why are you hitting yourself? Like, you're a dick. Stop.
Yeah, that analogy could not be further from the truth. If anything, we are the ones who are standing up to the bullies of the world. We are standing up to the North Koreas, the Irans, the Venezuelas, the Cubas, the Syrias, the Russias, all these nations that have extremely dangerous foreign policies, which are expansionist in nature, and who are authoritarians, and who commit war crimes and crimes against humanity. We are standing up to them. In this analogy, we are the people who are fighting back against the bullies. People like you are either bystanders to the bullies, or, at worst, are apologists for the bullies.
The incident marks this is by CNN Politics, they do great work over at CNN Politics. The incident marks the second time this month that the ships from the IRGC Navy have harassed U.S. ships in the Persian Gulf. And that's the kind of news coverage that the CEO of YouTube is going to highlight.
Good. That is fair, unbiased, and balanced coverage. And I know, Jimmy, that you're not familiar with unbiased coverage. But trust me, it is a lot better than your pathetic excuse of a show.
Straight up propaganda, pro-war propaganda that gets millions of people killed.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, CNN is pro-war. Yeah. You know, at this point, I just think that anyone who even lifts a finger towards a murderous tyrant is considered pro-war in Jimmy Dore's eyes. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you advocate for invading another country or if you just criticize another country. Jimmy Dore is going to call you pro-war. He's going to call you a propagandist. This guy is a clown. An absolute fucking clown.
That's the kind of stuff that the CEO of YouTube is going to highlight as authoritative news while she suppresses our debunking of that news.
Yeah, CNN stands for can't notice nuance. I mean, they repeat it multiple times in this article, like, oh, the U.S. ships were being harassed. Where? In the Persian, in their waters.
In Iran's waters.
It's not their fucking waters. Oh my god, how many times do I have to repeat this before you clowns finally get a fucking clue? The Persian Gulf does not belong to Persia. It is located near Persia, but it does not belong to Persia. Just because it has the name Persia in it doesn't mean it belongs to Persia. This is not a difficult concept. A first grader could understand this. A first grader has more nuance and intelligence than Jimmy Dore. Jesus. I hope to God this is not the future of the Democratic Party and of progressivism as a whole. Progressivism is already a cancer that's destroying the Democratic Party. But this is worse than cancer. And yeah, you're free to use that as your tagline for your show, Jimmy. The Jimmy Dore Show, worse than cancer. You're free to use that. I will not charge royalties. That can be the new slogan of your show because that is exactly what describes your show.
In the waters off Iran.
We were just being good little imperialists, and then they were messing with us.
Oh, fucking hell, he did the meme again. Imperialists are bad, bro. Imperialism. Yeah. Imperialism is bad when the U.S. does it. But no, if China does it, Iran does it, Russia does it, nah, that's perfectly fine. That's not imperialism. That's anti-imperialism. That's anti-imperialist imperialism, which is based. But no, if the U.S. is defending international waters from Iranian aggression, no, that's imperialism. Not only is that imperialism, that's a war crime. And people should go to jail for that. People should go to jail for defending their assets and their allies overseas from a hostile foreign power. That's the metric these idiots operate off of. I mean, how does anyone take Jimmy Dore seriously? How does any rational, sane person listen to what this cretin says and actually think that he's like a serious political commentator? I cannot believe that this guy has the following that he does. How can so many people be so blind and so stupid? Whatever. Let's finish this goddamn video.
So, all these black marks, do you see these black marks? Yeah. We should replace these with American flags. Those are all American military bases. What is Iran doing in the middle of all our military bases?
Oh boy, I've heard this one before. Yeah, let's just erase all context around that image. I'm not even sure how accurate it is. I mean, I've seen this meme countless times, and I highly doubt that it's accurate in its portrayal of U.S. military bases. But yeah, it would make sense that the United States, being the global superpower that it is, would have military bases around the world, especially in such a volatile and oil-rich region like the Middle East. I mean, this isn't imperialism. This is just protecting assets. Russia has military bases in other countries as well. It's not just the United States. But of course, Jimmy Dore is trying to paint the U.S. as the big, bad, evil, imperialist warmonger or whatever. And of course, he's going to use this meme, which is, of course, taken out of context. Of course, is probably not even accurate. And he's going to use that to portray the U.S. as this, imperialist force of evil, like the evil empire. Oh, but when it comes to Iran, and when it comes to Russia, and when it comes to Syria, no, he's going to bend over backwards to defend them at all costs. This guy is a clown. This guy is an absolute fucking clown.
Do you know no other country does this? Russia doesn't have military bases like this. China doesn't have military bases like this.
Oh, yes, they do, Jimmy. Yes, they fucking do. Russia has bases in Ukraine, in the illegally occupied Crimean Peninsula. They have bases in Kazakhstan. They have bases in Turkmenistan. You're just making shit up now. You're just lying. And China, I shouldn't even mention that they have bases on islands in the South Pacific. They have bases in Tibet. They're trying to get them in Taiwan. They have one in Hong Kong. No, and Iran. Let's not even mention Iran. They have bases all over the place in the Middle East. They have some in Syria. They have some in Iraq. I mean, this is it's absolute garbage what Jimmy Dore is spewing. I could say that over and over again. We'd only just be getting started.
Germany doesn't have no one, only the United States. Why? Because we're run by the military-industrial complex. We have a banana government, and they don't actually. This is what they do.
If we're controlled by the military-industrial complex, then why did Congress refuse to authorize Obama's airstrikes on Syria? Why has Congress not authorized an intervention since 2003? Why is Congress now moving away from foreign interventionism and now retreating into isolationism? We're not controlled by the military-industrial complex, Jimmy. We're controlled by a dangerous populist force, prodded on by bad faith actors and grifters like you. And I hope to God that trend is one day reversed. I'm going to do my part to make sure that people like you never get into a position of power, ever. God help us if people like you someday run this country. God help the world if that happens. Can you imagine what a Jimmy Dore administration would look like? I shudder to think what that would entail. My mind can literally not process what a Jimmy Dore administration would look like. I hope to God that it never comes to pass.
Imagine if the Iranian Navy was sailing around in the Gulf of Mexico. Just imagine that.
Spoiler alert, Jimmy. They have done that. In 2019, Iran sent warships to the South Atlantic for the first time, and they went to the Gulf of Mexico. Guess what we did? Nothing. This is not and you know what? We didn't have to do anything because they were in international waters, just like we were in the Persian Gulf. Is it a little worrying that Iran is sending warships that close to the United States? Yeah, but you know what? They didn't violate U.S. waters. They stayed in international waters, out of U.S. Jurisdiction. And you know what? They have the right to do that. I'm a little unnerved by that, but they have the right to do it. That's exactly what we did in the Persian Gulf. This is not a difficult concept, Jimmy. Does Jimmy Dore not understand the concept of international waters? Does he also not understand that Iran and the United States are not operating on the same moral plane? We are not equivalent. We are not the same. Iran has a long history of financing terrorist organizations and even carrying out acts of terrorism on its own. The United States does not have a history of doing that. And in fact, we have a history of stopping the regimes that do that.
Iran really made a mistake putting their country next to all those bases. If they don't like it, they could move. Biden wants to spend even more on defense than Trump. The president's plan to hike Pentagon spending draws a rebuke from progressives. No, it didn't.
Yeah, it did, Jimmy. Now, fortunately, the progressives are mostly a vocal minority in Congress right now. They can still do some harm, from their positions of power, but it's mitigated by the fact that we still have decent, honorable, and sensible people in Congress. And I hope it stays that way. But, yeah, you know what? I want Biden to spend more on defense. If anything, Trump's foreign policy, which was blatantly isolationist and protectionist, left the United States and its allies vulnerable to bad faith actors like Russia, like Iran, like Syria, and like China. And I can't, like I said before, I can't imagine what Jimmy Dore would do if he was in power. He would probably abolish the military altogether.
I don't know what John Nichols is talking about. That's like he hopes that did. I didn't see it. Did you see any rebukes from progressives? They all said they gave him an A. What fucking progressives is John Nichols talking about? Do you know?
Well, maybe.
Oh, AOC and Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Cory Bush, they all whined about it. I mean, fortunately, they weren't in much of a position to do anything about it. But yeah, I saw them whine about it on Twitter. I saw them whine about it on progressive talk shows. So yeah, no, they're really no different than you. I mean, maybe they're not as publicly vile as you are, but deep down, you and the squad are just the same kind of isolationist grifter, and that's not going to change.
Maybe not in electoral politics. Maybe people on Twitter and shows and stuff like that.
Like who? I haven't heard anyone say anything, Ron. Have you?
Like in at all?
No.
I mean, of course.
Besides us, who have you heard say something?
Well, I mean, I can't think of specific
no,
people.
You can't.
But there's,
no, you can't.
Well, I mean, the gray zone. There's a lot of anti-war shows out there. I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking about the gray. Okay, all right.
Oh my God, yeah, they really are setting the gray zone. You might as well cite Alex Jones or the Daily Stormer. I mean, the gray zone is a propaganda outlet for the Kremlin. That's really what it is. It just spews garbage. It spews genocide denial, conspiracy theories, apologism for dictators and mass murderers. The gray zone is one of the most toxic websites in the progressive discourse sphere, whatever you call it. They're appalling, just like you, Jimmy. You would fit right in there. Maybe that's what your job will be in the future. When your show inevitably dies out and goes off the air, maybe you'll find work at the gray zone. Or RT. You know what? I hear they're hiring, so maybe you'll find work there. Maybe you can even meet Vladimir Putin himself.
Okay. All right. That would be some progressives, some marginalized progressives. They're drawing rebuke from marginalized progressives, not anybody with power. That's for sure. So there you go. That's how CNN covers us doing imperialism. They cover it as we're the victim of Iran.
Yeah, because we are, Jimmy. Iran was deliberately harassing our vessels, and this is a deliberate show of force and attempt at intimidation so that they can further consolidate power in the Persian Gulf region. You know, this is not a difficult concept. Iran is a bad faith actor. They are imperialist and they are expansionist, and we are the only thing in that region stopping them. We are the only ones in that region that can counter Iranian aggression. I support our forces being there. Do I support an invasion of Iran? No. Do I support strikes against Iran? Also no. But I want to be there as a deterrent against Iranian aggression. I want to be there as a deterrent against Iranian proxies, like the militias, the IRGC, the Houthis in Yemen. I want us to be there to counter those proxies and reduce Iran's ability to influence that region in a negative way. And I think so far we're doing a pretty good job. Have there been some slip-ups? Is the job perfect? No. But would it get better if we leave? Fuck no, it wouldn't. It would not get better. It would get infinitely worse.
We're the victim of Iran. Just want to let you know. Somehow we're the victims of Iran, according to CNN Politics. But that's the news that the CEO of YouTube wants to push now. As because we're just assholes in our basement. It's easy to do what we're doing.
Yeah, Jimmy, you're right. It is easy to do what you're doing. It is easy to shill for murderous regimes. It is easy to dismiss any criticism of your conspiracy theories as the military-industrial complex or big tech or censorship or the establishment. It's very easy to do that. Populism is based off of laziness. But you know what's not easy? Actually doing research, doing real journalism and real investigative reporting. You're not doing that. You are pretending to be a journalist. You are pretending to be an actual commentator. When in reality, you're just a hack. You're just a hack and an apologist for malignant regimes that are committing war crimes, that are expansionist, and that are bad faith actors, that are backing terrorist organizations, and that are seeking to dismantle Western democracy as we know it.
Well, if it's so easy, why don't they do it? Because they won't do it right. Miss CEO of YouTube.
Oh my God, they really like to keep this persecution complex going. They really do. There's something called the hostile media effect. That's where people tend to believe that the media that the media runs contrary to their own viewpoints. it's a persecution complex. They like to feel like they're oppressed and like they're standing up to like the establishment and the system. It's typical populist bullshit. I mean, it's not unique to Jimmy Dore, but he is one of the more flamboyant purveyors of that kind of mindset. But it really, when you break it down, what Jimmy Dore is saying is just bland, fact-free garbage. That's really what it is. He's defending regimes simply because it's easy and because it's hip, and because he gets paid a lot of money by gullible sheep in order to do that.
That country we've been brutalizing since the 50s, they're harassing us while we're just in their waters.
We overthrew the
How rude.
We overthrew the Iranian democratically elected president in 1953, Mossadegh. You know that the CIA did that. The United States overthrew their government, which is why they have a reactionary right-wing theocracy in Iran right now.
Yes, actually, we did do that. And you know what? That was not the right thing to do. Yeah, that's right. I'm critical of U.S. foreign policy in the 50s. Big fucking shock, huh? Yeah, you know what? The United States foreign policy in the 50s was not the best. We were consumed by paranoia about communism. We were worried about the Soviet Union, understandably, but this is the wrong way to deal with it. But you know what? We don't do that anymore. We don't overthrow governments like that anymore because we don't have to. Now that we have enough allies, regional allies across the world, we can just support them. We don't have to overthrow an adversarial regime. We can just back another country there to keep them in check. And we have cyber warfare. We have intelligence operations. We don't need to do coups anymore. That's not what we do anymore. And frankly, I think if we really wanted to, we would take out Iran. But you know what? I don't support that either. Iran has a much more liberal, much more West-friendly youth demographic that is rapidly growing, and I think within a few years we will see the Ayatollah fall from power. It's funny that Jimmy Dore brings up that we overthrew the democratically elected government in Iran, when today's Iran is one of the most undemocratic nations, not just in that region, but the entire world. I mean, sure, I think the presidential, they change presidents every now and then, but the Ayatollah is the real ruler. He's calling all the shots. He's the supreme leader. Now, I hope that Iran's more liberal and more actually progressive youth will one day enact major changes in Iran, remove the Ayatollah, reform the government, turn it from an Islamic theocracy into an actual democratic republic. And you know what? I welcome that. I welcome that 100%. We don't need to overthrow Iran. I think we should just sit back. We should certainly back these more liberal and more West-friendly factions in Iranian politics, but we don't have to invade. I think that change is coming to Iran, regardless of whether we get involved or not. People like you, of course, are not going to help with that. And that's why I want to focus my energy on countering your toxic and vile propaganda and your apologism for the regimes that I want to see gone.
Because we overthrew their democratically elected government. Who did? The United States. The CNN ever tell you that? No. Would the CEO of YouTube tell you that? No. But she will suppress us when we tell you that.
Nobody's suppressing you, Jimmy. No one's suppressing you. Everyone knows the United States overthrew Mossadegh in 1953. No one is disputing that. No one is censoring that information. That is commonly known. That is in textbooks. That is in TV shows. That's in movies, for Christ's sake. No one is suppressing that information. It's all out there. All you have to do is open your fucking eyes.
Hey, Medea Benjamin wrote a great book about it. I believe it's just called Inside Iran. It goes through the entire timeline. It's a very brilliant book. I recommend it.
There you go.
Oh, that was a doozy. Well, that's a rare occasion where I was able to make it through a Jimmy Dore video. You know what? Maybe I'm adapting to the pain. Maybe I can start doing full-length videos now. But, I mean, that wasn't the most painful Jimmy Dore video I've ever seen. I mean, at least it didn't have the war crimes denialism that I loathe that comes from him when it has to do with Syria. But this was his own brand of awful. Just know this. No matter what people like Jimmy Dore do, no matter what they say, the truth will always be the truth. And the truth is, Iran is a dangerous foreign power that poses a great risk to regional stability in the Middle East. And I 100% support efforts to contain them and their dangerous expansionist foreign policy. And fortunately, for the time being, people like Jimmy Dore are not in a position of power. I'm going to do everything I can in my power to make sure it stays that way. And I hope the rest of you will do the same. And I know this video is probably going to be flooded with angry Jimmy Dore fanboys commenting about how I'm a war criminal or an autistic aide to John Bolton, as one of them called me. But you know what? They're free. I actually welcome. I'm very glad that Jimmy Dore fanboys are seeing this video because it means I'm actually breaking into their echo chamber. I'm actually breaking into their bubble. Maybe I can convert one person, or maybe my videos aren't doing anything. You know what? Maybe I'm just talking to the wind. But you know what? I'm going to keep doing it. If I can change even one person, if I can convince even one person that Jimmy Dore and his ilk are full of shit, I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep doing it. So go ahead, ratio this video, downvote it into oblivion. Leave your angry comments below. I welcome it. I might delete it afterwards, but I'll have a good laugh. Anyway, see you all next time. Peace out.